In this video, we're going to explore how you can use the append child delete button in JavaScript. And this is basically a JavaScript coding journey, and you will see basically how we're going to explore this. Alright, let's start and explain what we're going to do. If you've seen many stories or many people who are suggesting to write something in JavaScript to learn, one of the things they would recommend to learn is to create a simple to-do list or a simple list where you can append a child or basically add on items here, and then you have a delete button where you can press on the button and it will delete the item itself. And that's what we're going to do here. Basically, we're going to type in some text, press this, it will add up here, and then in here, this list, you have a delete button where you can delete the item itself again. So it's not really a to-do list, but it's very close to it, like a shopping list. Alright. Let's start and explore what we're going to do here. So we have a few items here, and this is my HTML template here, and this is not correct now. You can ignore that. And what we're going to do here is the following. We have here our input. That's what we're going to use. We have a button here. This button needs to be activated. And we have this list item here. And this is the unordered list, which will be eventually the parent of this list item. So what we're going to do now is, let's start with the basics, is by adding an item in here the moment we click on this button. So what we're going to do here is now, we're going to give this button an ID. So we say ID, and this can be add child. Let me say here, constant, add child equals document dot get element by ID. Oh, make sure this is a letter, small letter D. And what's the ID name? That's add child. Alright. So we have this here. Next, what we want to do is we want to create an add event listener so that it will trigger. So the moment we click on this, it will trigger something. And how will it be triggered? By a click. So we say here add event listener. Let me say here, the trigger will be by click, and what will it trigger? It will trigger the function add new item. So then we have here a function, and this function is called add new item, and in here we will start to work with it. So basically within here we're going to create a new item, or we append a child. And append basically means attach a child to the parent, which will be eventually this here. So what we're going to do here is the following. The first thing that we want to do is we want to create an element. So the moment we click on this, we will append what exactly? Well, let's explain here. We're going to append this list item. So we want to create an element with the name li, basically the list item element. And once we have that, then we need to append it or attach. Append means attach. So that means we will attach it to where? Who's the parent? The unordered list is the parent, and this is the child. So we are going to add up here. Basically, we will just do this, but then in JavaScript. So let's start with the basics. In here, we'll say, we give it a name. We need to give here a constant. So we say constant, and this constant will be child. For now, you can use anything else, or we can use here list item. That's maybe better. More appropriate name. And then we say here list item will be document dot create element. And what is the element we're going to create? It is a list item. Alright, so now we created the list item, but we did nothing more than creating it. Now we need to attach it onto the parent here. So what we have to do here by default is, first of all, we say here ID equal, and then we say here the items, that will be fine. And then we say here const, then we say items equals document dot get element by ID. And what is the ID name? Items. So once we have that, so we created here, we can say that here, create a list item. And now here we're going to attach or append this li tag, the li tag as a child. That's basically what we're doing here. So we're going to add it up now as a child, and this items ID is basically the parent. So we say here the following: items dot append child. Then in here we just put in the variable, so no need for single quotation. Do not do that. Then we say here this one. And once we have this, we can now save this and see if this works. So basically now, the moment we add up, we click on this button, the add child button, we will start to fire up or trigger this add new item. And this add new item will create a list item, and this list item will attach the item to this ID that we indicated here. So let's try this, and as you can see, once we click on it, it works beautifully. Let's refresh one more time to double check. Alright, so now we did number one. What we want to do next is we want to put in, if we click on it, we also want to put in this text here. If we press, we should show this in here. Alright, so that's what we're going to do now. So what we can do here is the following. We have this item here, but it contains no text. So what we're going to do here now, add text to li tag. So how will we do this? Well, basically, we have here already this item here, and what we can do is the following. Well, we have here the const, and what we're going to do here is we say here, create a text node. We're going to create a text node, so this text node will be item name. So this constant is item name, and this item name will be document.create text node. And if you're wondering what is a node, well, a node is basically a well, best to show you with these kind of nested variables here, or the nested tags. This is a node, and within here there is a child node, and this is a parent node, and we can go up here as well. These are all nodes, and this is the parent node of all of these nested tags here. You go up all to the HTML tag, which is the root node, meaning the parent. And this one would be the child of HTML tag, so the head and the body. And from the body is the parent, and these are all children of all of these parents here. As we nest it in, it keeps on going. Alright, so that's most important with a node. So if the node is a tag, the text node specifies within the tag the text, which is in this case add text to the tag list item. So we're going to add up here text. So if we say here now text, so we put in quotations, so this is a string. We're going to add up consistently a string the moment we press the button. Yes, but what we have to do first is we have to make sure that this is connected to the li item. So how do we connect that? Well, basically we say here list item dot append child. As you can remember, this is basically, the text node is a child of the li, because its child would be the text within. Alright, so I hope you can follow along with that, and that's the most important one. So and then we say here, we put in the item name in here, then we save this, and if we do this refresh, now as you can see we can press, but even if we type in here anything, it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is simply this: it does not work because there's no information of the input, where we did not connect the input here. And as you can see here, we already have the ID name here of text name, but that's already of item name, and item name is already in here. So we have to change this one here. So we're going to put in here input item name, that will be fine. And that will be connected to here. Or what we can do is here as well, we can say here document dot sorry, not here, sorry. We have to do it in this part here. And then we can say here, and the reason why we do it here is because this is the text node. This is the text. The text should come from this part here, which is the input. So we can say here document, without, then we don't give it any constant, but we can give it a constant if you want. Get element by ID. What's the ID name? The ID name would be the input item name, and then we say here dot value. And once we save this, we can now test 1. All right, 2. And if we keep on pressing, you can see this works. But if we keep on pressing, we want to refresh this with making it blank. So if we do that, what can we do as well? Simply indicate that this becomes blank once we press on it. So what we want to do here, make the input blank or empty. Blank or empty. So we say here, document get element input name dot value equals nothing. As simple as that. So we save this, refresh here, and now let's put it away. We add up, and there you are. We add up something and empty. All right. So now we are getting close to it. So of course, what you want more is you want to have an input button here. Our button where you eventually say close. And I have some copy text here that I store here, and later on we're going to explore this because this is a part that I still have to explore deeper, and I will explain here a lot of these things here. Once you learn how to read this, it will become easier as well. So what we're going to do now, the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to add up a new child, and this child will be a button, and this button will be at the end of text, basically, or whatever the text is here. So we're going to do that one at the end there. So first thing what we need to do is we need to create a new button. So we have this part here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put it below. Let me say here next, add a delete button. So the first thing what we're going to do now is to create a button. And we say here constant, and then we say here a delete button. That will be the constant name. And what we're going to do here is document create element button. That's what we're going to do because we need to create a new element. So we say document dot create element. Then we say here button. All right, so we've got this. Then what we have is what we're going to do now is, of course, we're going to attach this. Here we're going to attach it to the item or list item, basically to the li here, because that's what we want to add it up on. So we say here list wait, I'm going to put in here plus attach to the li tag. All right, so then we say list item dot append child. And what is the child now? In this case, it will be the delete button. All right, put here a semicolon, save this, and now if we add up, as you can see, we have something here. All right, so our button right now has no text, and it's time to add up some text as well. So what we're going to do here, add a button. So and then we can also add the text in the button. So what we can do here, I will just say here plus add text to button. And then maybe this one we could do it here at the bottom, and this one we'll put here up. That would make more sense. Then we say here the following. What we're going to do here is basically create the text node as well. So we say here, we can almost copy this part here, but what do we want really in here? Well, basically we want something very, very simple. Let's say here delete, we're going to put in an X or something like that, or delete. So we say delete button text. All right, so we're going to give you a constant. Delete button text equals document dot, and then we say create text node. And this text node that we create here, we'll say delete or del. That's fine. So if you click on that, or you can put in an X, whatever you want, one or the other. Refresh, and if we add it now, oh, doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? We didn't attach it yet. So we have to attach this as well. So then we say here, this append child, and what are we appending then? In this case, we're appending the delete button text. We add it to the child of the button, so the text is the child of delete button. All right, And now we have delete here. Alright, so now if we add up this, we start to get items. We can even here add class if we want, so we can say here delete button dot class name equals, and then we can put in here it's a btn because this is bootstrap, so I'm going to use bootstrap design btn lg btn danger. That should give us the right design. There you are. As you can see, it works perfectly. All right. If you want, we can do even here. Maybe make this small. And what we even can do is, if we save this, maybe we should put in the list item some paddings between or margin below here. So we saw here we're going to look at the li or the list item. We can say here on the list item append child. What I want to do here is list item. Then we say here class name equals margin bottom 3. Alright, so if we do this, there we are. Doesn't look that nice. Maybe we can do margin bottom 1. That's maybe better. Alright, that's decent. That looks decent. So this is basically what we wanted. So we have now an item here. And of course you can do more, but you get the point here right now. So what can we do more now? Or what are we going to explore more? Well, basically, we are now very close to creating everything. What we want to do now is we want to start deleting this. And how are we going to delete this? Well, basically we need to add a function here. Yes, and what we're going to do as well, because this becomes more and more important, these are as well numbers, or this is basically an array. And we're going to talk here about class names later on, because they will become very important once we start to use this here. Well, we can probably add up a class name here. Well, imagine we have this is the class name here. I'll give it a special class name here. This will be the delete class. And the reason why I'm going to give it a unique item here, because we have another button here. And this button would be also count if we use a class that has this button, that this does count as well. So for example, if this would have here, this is btn, and we use only btn as a class, this will be part of it. You understand that this will be, once you understand this becomes an array, then this will be also counted as a part of the array, and I don't want that. I only want these specific ones here. Alright, so we created a unique class here to make sure that now we can start to count this. And how do we count this? Well, basically, we can say here the following. We will say here delete class equals, oh sorry, this must be a const. And the reason why here, we're going to put in there, count the array length. This is what we need, how many times we have this button. So if you have 5 buttons here, or whatever these are, 7 or 9 buttons, it should be able to count the number of the button, that if you click on this row, which is the same number, matching number, should be deleted. And this is the reason why if you would only do like btn as class and we use the same class here, it will start to count this as well, and I don't want this to be counted, because it might impact this as well, and it will start to delete something that we don't want. We only want to delete these here. Alright? So that's why unique classes for those that we can identify. And then we say here, class name. Count the array length based on classes. Alright, so I'm going to explain to you how this looks like. So we say delete class. What is delete class? You say document dot get elements with s, remember that, by class name. Why elements? Because we're going to talk, that's why I'm talking about arrays. We have an array, so it's multiple values. Remember, an ID, get element by ID. Why? Because ID only can be unique. Must be unique, and there can only have one value in there. There should not be 2 IDs. So it must be unique. This one does not have to be unique. And this is why this becomes an array. Because the HTML will count, and indicate we see more than one with the same class name. And I'm going to show you later on how that works. Alright, so we have this. And what we're going to do here is the following. It's a class name. And what's the class name we're going to identify? Delete class, which we inserted into our delete button. So let me show you here. If you refresh this, and I will press on this, I open up this, and let's explore this here in the developer tab. You can see here we have the delete class. So now what we want to do is here, we have this delete class, and this delete class, if we would say now delete, oh, I need to make here a constant, sorry. Am I correct? Delete class, yeah, this is the constant. And then we say delete class dot length. This is a trick to calculate the array. Yeah, so if you see one of my videos, I talk about how to understand the length of the array. You use the length here. You can so you can check. So let's double check this. Watch the other video about this. I recommend you to watch that so you learn about this. As you can see, we're using so many different skills and commands that I already discussed before. Knowing these, you can start to combine it together into a working function. So let's save this here now. What we have here now, and if I click on this, let's see if we get a console log. You can see now 0, 1, 2, 3. As you can see here now, it starts to understand. And the reason why it says 0, this is the first one. 0. Or probably, let's see if it starts, you know, if we press on it, it will see 0 maybe because we didn't add it yet. If I add this one here to the very end, it probably would show better. 1. As you can see, the order you put it in, because y doesn't show 0, it will add it up here. When we put it here, it has not added up the delete button or the delete the button or the list item. So that's why we have this one. Put it here, you will see it now. Alright, so that makes some sense. So the order is essential. If you put it in here, we can probably put this here, that's fine. To check. There was my goal here was, of course, with this to show you and display this. Alright, so now we are very close to it. So what we're going to do now is the following. This is the blank. Alright, what we want to do here is once we add it up here, we have this, we have appended it. What we want to do here, the moment we press on the item or the button, the delete button, we have to remove it. For that, we have a piece of code here. Because what happened now is we have a for loop. We need to use a for loop. Why do we use a for loop? Well, as I indicated here the length. We already had the console with the length. Meaning that this would be the first element, second element, third element. If we press on this, we want to make sure that this list here is deleted. If we press on this, we want to make sure that this is deleted. And not any other one. So we need to identify this. Alright? So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to create a for loop, and the I equals 0. And then what's the, so a for loop has 3 conditions. The first one, or 3 statements. The first statement is the starting point of the variable, or the constant, which is I equals 0, it means it starts with 0. And then it will start to calculate. What we say here, how many times will it do, or what's the condition? Say, we keep on looping it until we surpass the I. So how do we know we surpass the I? So for that, we have this one here, the delete class, where we search on the class name. And if you just remember, we just use here the length, so we can calculate here how many are there. And once we did that, at that moment we say I++, and then we do here whatever we want to do. In this case, I will just say your console.log for now, and all I want to do here is we just say delete class length. Let's check. Add up here, add up, add up. Alright, so if I press, oh, of course, it doesn't work yet here, sorry. Why it doesn't work? Because we need to create an onClick here. So what we're going to do here is now we're going to search here. You can see here we have a few items here. We can use this now. Let's start to look at this and understand this piece of code a little bit more. So what we have here, we have this. So the moment we have this, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the person, if they click the delete button, in this case this button here, depending on the I, yes, and what is the I? Basically the index number. Depending on which one we click, if I delete this, or let's say this, let's say 1, 2, 3. So if I click on delete number 2, this row should be deleted. If I click delete number 1, this row should be deleted, and no other row or no other list index. Was it a list item, li tag? All right, so that makes sense. So what we're going to do here is basically trigger it by first indicating here that this class length, because this is the delete class, yes, that's the same one, length, the number I press on, which is the I, that's our loop here. At that moment we say on click, so we're going to trigger it with a on click, and then we make a function. So what is really our function here? Well, simply what you can see almost below, where we can put it in here, we can say the following for now. Our function right now, we just say here, we want to show which button we're clicking. That's what we're going to do first for now. Let's see here. Alright, we click on this. This is undefined. Alright, undefined. Alright, no problem. We have to figure out what's going on. Let's check here. So we can see here we have this. They have the function. See what we're missing here. Nothing yet. It's undefined. So we have the delete class on click function on click undefined. Let's double check here what we can see here. Then we have here the variable of this parent element. All right. So what we can do is we can just copy this. Maybe we could probably do this. We'll say here this. Basically here we say this parent element. All right, so let me explain here what this really does, because then you can see here style.display, and that's what I basically want to do. This style.display equals none. So basically what we're going to do here, we say here we're going to, the moment we click this, you will get the parent element, and the parent element should become displayed none. So let's save this and see if this even works. Say 1, 2, and 3. If I press on this, as you can see, it works. We still get an undefined, so we're going to search what is wrong with the undefined or why. And what we can do is basically here, it's probably maybe we can select here the this class. See if this works. This. Alright, that doesn't work. Can I read property of 1 is undefined? Alright, we ignore this one for now. No need for this. What we do want to know is, what does this mean? So maybe you have this parent element here, and you wonder, how come it figures out this? So what we're going to do here is we're just going to say this, because basically here, it understands that this is the first value in the array, and this is the parent element. The parent element basically going to search, if you remember what he said as parents. When we press the button, we have this list item here, and basically there will be there's like a button in here, and this button, what is the parent of this button? Well, because the button is nested within the li item, it's this one here, that's the button, or that's the parent. So this is the child. This is why it's being triggered, that this will become display none. All right, but we can double check this by saying parent element dot inner text. So what we want to do is we want to see if we really get or really pinpoint that specific list item by getting or extracting the text. What we want to do is we want to extract the text. Let me show you. So the moment let's refresh this, and the moment I say here 1, 2, 3, and this one will be FFF, and this will be 0, 0, 0. If we press on 1, we should see the item or this text here. So if I press this, you can see now it becomes this text here. So the 0, 0, 0 is being displayed. And if we delete now 1, 2, 3, you can see we get the right one. So this indicates the one you're clicking. Specifically on here on the click function on the object says, all right, what are we clicking? This value, which is in the array, the item here, which I cannot explain right now, it doesn't show the number, but this is basically what we need. So this is exactly what we have, and this inner text just extracts the text from the list item. Alright, so we've got this now, and now if we check here, we can 111 777 888 999. Alright, we delete this. Alright, we don't show anymore the console log, not necessary, but you can see here everything has been deleted. If you really see this, you probably will understand how you can create a same version and then for specifically like a to-do list, where if you press or click on a specific item, it says like checkbox and makes it green. We could do almost similar with this with the same structure. And here what we're supposed to have is another button with a check mark. So what we can do here is, let's try that one for fun. There's a append and you have a prepend, so we can double check that. So what is a prepend? A prepend is basically putting it before, and append putting it at the end. So what we're going to do here is, let's create a item or another button. I'm going to create a new button, and this button will be a add. You can see here we have this, but I'm going to copy this and say add a done button and add text to the button. So what we're going to do here, we're going to create a done button, const done button equals document dot create element. What are we creating for element? Well, we're creating a button element. Which one this time? A green one. So I'm going to make that a this is the class name success. So we say here const of the done button text. We can say here. So we're going to put in text. Then we're going to put in the text note here. Document that create. What's the document that create a text note? Text note. And once we did this, what will this be done? And this one will be what will be the name? This will be done. There's no check mark here, or so I'll just say done. That is fine. Now what I need to do is I need to add up the class name. So I say here done button dot class name equals btn small and btn success. All right. Once we did that, we still need to append the child text. So basically the text to the done button. So we say here done button dot append child capital C, and in here we do the done button text. All right. So now we have this. Let's save this. Let's see if this is working, or did we attach this already to the list item? Not yet. All right. So we can attach this here. So now attach this one. So what I will say here, attach delete button, and now we say here attach done button, and then we can say here prepend. Yeah, so we attach it at or prefix basically at the front instead of at the back to the li tag. So what we're going to do here, we say list item, because that's where we're going to prepend it, dot prepend child. What are we going to do here? Done button. Save this. And everything else here, well, I have to comment out this for now, just to make sure that we don't have a double thing and then we get some errors. And now, oh, let's see here. List item prepend is not a function. All right, so let's see what I am missing here. Item prepend is not a function. All right. So we're going to search that. So I'm going to just append prepend. I will just search on this, what this really is. Alright, so apparently this is not possible, sadly enough. And the reason why it's not possible, it is apparently a item, a jQuery item. So we are going to append it, but then in this case, how do we append it correctly? So we attach this, so that means that the done button should be after this. Alright. And then we have here list and list item. So we're going to first put in this, and I'm going to put in that. So we're going to just change the order. And now we have the list item here. Items, append the li tag to the child. And where is the list item text? Where are we? Child. And here we have the list item text. That will be item name. Well, sadly enough, we are not able to solve that one directly, but that will be alright. I will leave that for now, because probably what we can do here is in the list item we could create a new span or paragraph, or probably a span text, where we put in this specific text here. For now I will leave that, if it will be breaking the design too much, but you can see here we have this. The solution would be to put the done at the front, create a span text between here, and so we first we append first the done, then the span text, and then the append child. For now we just leave that, it's not necessary. Alright, so what we're going to do here now is almost similar to the other one here. Well, basically we can just delete this and I'll just rewrite it. Say for, now what are we going to do here? We have the I, well maybe use X, just to make sure that we don't have different ones. And then we say here the other condition, exactly the same. You can say here, not delete, but done button dot length. Sorry, not done button. We can do the class. Well, if we have them, as you can see here, we have them both together. If it's done or delete, it doesn't matter so much on the length. The length will not matter because the length is exactly the same. So let's save that one. However, what we do want to make sure is, do we have a done class? We don't have a done class yet. Am I correct? We have here, oh, alright, we can make here a done class. If we have a done class, we need to create a delete, and then we have to create this. Probably this is the one we do need to have. So we have, let's start here. So we have here, count the array length based on the done class. So we have this one, and basically what we do here is const done class equals document dot get elements by class name, and the class name is done class. Oh, sorry, is it? I think it's done. Yes, that's the done. That's the class name we're going to get, not the done class. I'm looking almost here, using almost a similar design. Alright, so we have the done. Then we can say here is done class. Let's see here. We have this one, that's fine. This and I plus plus. And in here we're going to say done class I. Yeah, so what we're going to do here is basically we get this one. The number of that is just the same here. And on click, the moment we click, we create a new function. What is this function doing? Well, normally with a checkbox or a checklist or to-do list, when you check something, it would change it green or change it the color. So we say here this dot parent element, exactly the same. And then we can say here, instead of style, we'll say class name equals, and then we have already the class name, since this is Bootstrap. So we say here BG success. Alright. Once we got that semicolon at the end, close the function and save this and refresh. If I say here 1, 2, 3, this, and then I is not defined. What is going on here? Alright, sorry, I use here the I should be X. Alright, I'm copying too much exactly below. There we are. Now we do this, alright, 1, 2, 3, and then we say you're done. Bam, there you are. Now it becomes nice and green. We can maybe give it some other color here. Info. Then we will give it a light blue. As you can see here, there we are. And this is basically how, and if we delete this, now we can also delete that as well. So we have now all these kind of designs. You can see that somehow the design slightly have an impact. We can probably solve this as well with the item, because what happened here, you have the BG info, we're overruling the others here. So probably what we can do instead of overruling it, because what we're doing is we're assigning a new class name to it and everything else will be deleted, we can probably add a class name. So I'm going to search for that code. That's what we're going to do. Alright, so sadly enough, I'm trying to figure it out with class list dot add, but this does not work as expected. If we do this, let's try here. So the only solution would be to just reset this, and probably here the add class for the class list add can only be used probably if we are working with a ID, and right now it doesn't know exactly, or it struggles with it. So what I will do is I will just add up this one here. I'll just get this. You see here the class name, and we will assign this class name here together, so that this will not impact anymore the design. As you can see, this would be the only solution for now. So, and this is basically a little bit how you can create a tiny to-do list here, and which is one of the best practice exercises. As you can see here, you can learn a lot of things because you're doing so many different interactive parts of JavaScript. So if you have any questions on this, put them in the comment section below, and if you enjoy videos like this, subscribe to my channel. And if you really want to learn about Chart.js, because everything what you see here basically is very applicable to Chart.js, check out my Udemy course in the description box.